Hello and welcome to our special episode of Motoring Middle East. Today I'm not actually doing the intro in front of the camera because it's really hot. It's about 40 degrees. So I'm trying to save my life, my lungs and what's left of my skin. So what am I looking at today? It is the Range Rover Sport HST with the new Defender Ingenium engine. So before, if you remember, they had 3-litre V6 supercharged, about 340 horsepower if I remember correctly. This one has 400 horsepower. But wait! Ton of stuff on it. It's a 3-litre inline 6 Ingenium. It has a turbocharger, it has a supercharger, and it has a mild hybrid system. It's basically got the entire kit in it. If that sounds familiar, by the way, you've heard me spit it out. It is actually the Defender engine, and it is, of course, now the base engine for the Sport. There is a 2-litre Ingenium engine also from the Defender, but let's be honest, nobody cares about that. They want this thing. So how much is the price of it? Well, it's not cheap. 384,000 dirhams starting. This one, as it sits here, 523,000 dirhams for the base engine with all the kit. By the way, HST, if you're familiar, is the old trim they used to have on the supercharged cars. Basically, it was sort of the high zoot trim, lots of chunky body kit, etc. Quite nice for the time. Now it's on a lowly base car, but still looks pretty good. You've got the big wheels. I believe these are indeed 22-inch wheels, so forget about off-roading. This color is called Firenze Red. It is quite a lovely red, isn't it? All the bits, all the blacked out bits, etc. Some strange options, emissions from this car, but again, it is a press car, so who really knows? So this is going to be a very short drive. Let's take it on the road and show you what's different. Otherwise, it's pretty much a standard stock Sport. And full confession, I didn't never really like these cars that much when they were new. So has time softened my view? Only one way to find out. I'm sorry for the brief intro outside, but again, it is very, very hot. I've been doing a lot of filming from inside the car. And besides, you know what a Range Rover Sport is. You've seen it. It's pretty old. Daniel Craig was still young when this car was introduced. So yeah, you know what it's like. What's the big changes? Not much really. We still don't have the PV Pro system from the Defender, but we do have the old in-control touch system, which is not great. I'll be honest with you. And adding a second screen here, if anything, has actually made it worse, because all these screens are very slow to react. So when you press stuff, beat before stuff happens. It's too slow. This one is, I mean, the graphics are nice, the resolution is very high, I like the way it looks, and it is laid out logically, but it's too slow. You just press stuff, everything is very slow. The PV Pro system, much faster. Zip, zip, zip. We're young, the people buying this car, I hope, are young, and we want to do stuff. Okay, enough about that. But I mean, it's good. Radio, difficult to use because it's slow, but the sound quality of the Meridian system is excellent. In fact, too good. It makes your ears go like you've been listening to shit all these years, and suddenly you have a nice sounding system, and your brain's like, no, I want a slightly worse system. Very good system. Other things I don't like. I'm used to digital dials. Not crazy about it, but that's what everybody's doing in the luxury space. These touch buttons here. Why is everything touch? So when I'm just resting my hand on the steering wheel, it raises the volume up to crazy, like pump up the jam levels. And or it changes the track if you press a button. So all this stuff constantly keeps changing depending on what you want. What was wrong with buttons? What was wrong with buttons? It all worked properly. Nobody complained. But the air conditioning is excellent. It's 40 degrees outside. No problem at all. Cooled seats, excellent. The basics of the car are really, really good. What's the car like to drive? Well, it's a bit hard to say, really. When it first came out, I really didn't like it that much. I loved the old Range Rover Sport, loved it to bits. It wasn't very precise, it wasn't very accurate, a little trucky because it was a Discovery underneath, but it was very good off-road. It made a lovely noise. It was such a hot rod on the road. You could just drive right up people. It had pretty nice fun steering. The new one was way better in every way. It felt sporty, felt nimble, light, precise, still had the same off-road ability. But somehow trying to be a junior Range Rover made it a worse Sport. It was definitely better, objectively, but subjectively something was lost. That crispness was lost. So I've never quite got on with this car the same way. Now you've taken away the power. So this one has 22-inch wheels, and it has a 400 horsepower engine, which is ironically almost the same as the supercharged V8 when it first came out with. What's it like off-road? I'm on a very bumpy track and I'm going very slowly. And it is quite bumpy. It is, let's be honest. Getting shoved around a bit. I don't recommend 22-inch wheels for off-road. Look, the vibrations going through the chassis. It can do it, I'm not saying it can't do it, but you'll eat tires and you'll bust wheels. So if you're going to take this off-road, downsize to maybe a 20, or if you're lucky a 19. The smallest you can go through on Land Rovers is an 18. Bags are flying around. It's really bumpy. I can go faster than this. It'll probably be smoother, but I don't want to kick up a whole bunch of sand and ruin the lovely paint. This car is box fresh. So yeah, a nice little car, but just spec it properly. I don't know why people 22-inch wheels anyway. They're not nice. Okay, they give you off some sportiness, but man, just ruin the car. Everything with the car feels less fast. I mean, it feels heavier, pudgier. It hits bumps really badly. 400 horsepower. So that's the strange, interesting thing, right? In the night, it definitely feels like it's more powerful. Oh, it goes. It goes. It's way better than the old 3-litre V6 supercharged. Way better. But this car has some interesting omissions from the spec kit, spec list. It doesn't have active cruise control. It doesn't have an automatic parking brake. It's a $500,000 dirham car. Where are those things? They should be there. I mean, I'm going up behind people and I just crash into them because it doesn't have active cruise control. Really weird. So the 400 horsepower, it has a very, very nice meaty mid-range. So tip-in is good and off-idle is good, mid-range good, top-end nothing. I mean, nothing really. And the big problem with having a car that's tuned like this and with having 22-inch wheels, it spends all of its effort getting the car up to speed. But the problem is, when you go around corners with 22-inch wheels, it kind of struggles to hold it, like the mass, the weight, because it doesn't have the sort of heavy-duty suspension that you have in a supercharged car, which is designed to do very, very fast. This is kind of sort of a fraud, you might say. It has the engine, but it doesn't really have the bits. So yeah, I'm going to come up to some roundabouts now, and you're going to see what it's like when I take it through. And just to make things more fair, put it into dynamic mode. It has all the modes, but again, nobody plays them, just leaving comfort. So let's see how it goes over a bump in dynamic mode, but technically it should stiffen up the shocks. I think it'll be a lot better. It's just, why isn't the base tune nicer? Not a bad car, just not bad, actually better than stock cars. Let me take it to dynamic. Oh, this is better. This is better. Oh, but you can feel the mass, I'm doing about 80 through here, and it is leaning like a pirate ship. Leaning. Turn. Tires are good. Pirelli and Scorpion Verdes. Nice tires. Oh, everything is all over the place. Oh, I'm going to be sick. What are you doing? Alright. You see, I'm going to dynamic mode. It won't rev. Let's put it back into sport. Let's just do that. Eco. Not eco. Nobody wants eco. Okay, say comfort. Surprising amount of wind noise as well for a Range Rover. Surprising amount of wind noise. But I mean, it's pretty quiet. The cabin's pretty quiet. So the engine in the heat loses a little bit of that bite, a little bit of punch. Same with the Defender. All these cars in the heat, you can't do it. There's so much stuff happening. Turbo, supercharger, hybrid system. And it's a small engine that's heavily boosted. So it has good fuel economy. And actually it does have good fuel economy. I've been averaging about 11.1, pressing buttons, 11.5 liters per 100 kilometers. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. But I think there's a small tank because it's drinking fuel because it's a small tank. And it's hard on the car. So do I like driving it more than I like the first one? And the answer is sort of. It's a nice daily. As an alternative to a Land Cruiser or whatever, it's way above, obviously, in terms of polish and all that, and niceness of materials. All of this is proper leather. Everything's soft, and this burns your hand because it's metal. All that's nice. It's a good daily. And to be honest, do you need the supercharged V8? Probably not. For most people, this is probably enough. But I think if you're buying a Sport, you'd want the V8 because you want to have that roar out of the back. I guess if you're like a real mall cruiser and you don't care, this engine is fine. I mean, I don't have any real complaints about it. It's good on gas. It's got the power. Okay, in the heat it struggles, so what? You know, nobody's taking this thing to the Nürburgring in 45 degree, 50 degree summer heat. So yeah, it's not really an issue. It just feels like it doesn't have that lacks that last bit of polish. But it does have a certain delicacy. That's what I like about Range Rover, what I like about Land Rover in general. They have that delicacy. The car doesn't feel heavy. I know I've wanted to myself, it is heavy. Oh, yeah, definitely. It's in soft mode, it doesn't like it. It's heavy when you really push it, but around town it feels very easy and light and damped and just nice. Like a Rolls Royce. a Rolls Royce feels like. This is like a baby Rolls Royce. But when you really press on, you can feel the limitations of the suspension, the brakes, and the engine. But it's not a slow car. And it's not a bad car. It's just still missing that exo special sauce, that makes you go, I want to buy it. For $500,000 dirhams, I want to be like in love with this thing. There's a Range Rover right in front of me. That car I love. Didn't like it when it came out, drove it a bit, loved it. Great car. Just perfect. Because you sit that little bit higher. And this is sitting on the same platform as the Range Rover, but somehow it just feels like they've toned stuff down. Why wouldn't you buy a cheaper Discovery and get the same engine? If you're going to get a Sport, get the supercharged V8. If you're going to buy a Discovery, buy this one, buy with this engine. The problem with the Discovery is it's horrible to look at. And the problem with the Discovery in general is now the Defender exists. What's the point of the Defender? And that's my problem. I think the Defender kind of does everything this car does without obviously the same fit and finishers and the nice stuff, but it's got a better infotainment system. It's got a lot of better stuff. Comparable sound system. Why would you just buy a Defender? 300,000 dirhams. Why would you spend $500,000 dirhams on this car? Because you want a Range Rover badge? Well, the new one's coming in a couple of years, so don't quite know how this one sits. All I can say is it's fine. You won't be unhappy, but you're not exactly going to be thrilled either. And that fairly confident verdict is what I leave you with, people. Thanks for watching. Imtishan from Motoring. Please like, share, subscribe, comment, jump with joy every time you see these videos. See you next time.